We're going to roll in right to the next fireside chat here in just a second, but just two quick announcements before we do. The first is tonight is the Auggie Awards at 7 o'clock right here on the main stage. Who here is up for an Auggie Award tonight? Okay, raise your hands. All right, good luck. Good luck. That's going to be extremely exciting. After that, we have the after party at the Glass House in San Jose. So after the Auggie Awards are over, there's going to be shuttle buses right outside, one-way shuttle, so they'll take you there. You'll have to find your way back afterwards, or just sleep there overnight if it's a great after party. All right, so up next, we have another incredible fireside chat with Tony Parisi, who's the head of AR/VR ad innovation at Unity. Catherine Henry, who's the SVP of Growth of 5G, Creative VR, AR, XR Strategy and Innovation at Media.Monks, and Keith Sojacich, who's the head of Innovation at Publicis Group. So welcome them on stage, everybody.
Good morning, everyone. How we doing? Great talk to get us started, Bobby and panel. Thank you so much. I'm Tony Parisi. Thanks for the introduction. Today we're here to talk about the future and current state of XR for brands. I'm here with two leading lights of this industry that continue to push innovation. They're going to tell you their stories real soon. Before we do that, though, I want to take a minute to talk about why we're here. We come to AWE and we see all this cool stuff. Amazing technology, real-time rendering, game engines, new hardware, machine learning, cloud computing, all this cool stuff. All these things, but remember, it's not the thing. It's the thing that gets you to the thing. Yeah. And these devices that have become indispensable to us, interwoven into our daily lives. They're not phones, they're not glasses. They're teleporters. They take us to these magical places, and they bring digital magic to us. They transcend space and time. It is so awesome. And all the incredible experiences we can make with this, they're going to change the world. They're bringing the metaverse to us. It's unfolding right around us. And a big part of that, and I know a lot of people at AWE aren't quite tuned in to ads, and you think about walking around with pop-ups or all these like sort of insidious things. We're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about up-leveling experience and brands telling their stories, have a better relationship, more long-lasting conversation with their customers. And what's coming with the metaverse is going to give us amazing opportunities to do that. So without further ado, I want to introduce my two friends, Catherine Henry and Keith Sojacich. They're going to tell you their story, give a quick intro, and then we're going to get into it and talk about all the awesome stuff happening today and where it's going. So Catherine, please take it away.
Thank you so much. Now you heard the alphabet soup of my introduction. I am Catherine D. Henry, and I am a specialist in all things metaverse related. So I'm part of a team at Media.Monks that is heading up everything from the creative strategy to execution on all things that pertain to the virtualization, where we're going with the metaverse and how to get there. And so I'm super excited to join you today to talk about not only what some of the great work that we've done, but our outlook for our industry and the future of creative technology.
Thank you, Catherine. Keith?
Hey everyone, I'm Keith Sojacich, head of innovation, Publicis Media. It's week 2 on my job, and I actually have to thank the audience here at AWE. This is my 4th AWE. Every year I come back here, I get the very best alpha in this space of what's happening with emerging technology and brand experience, and now I'm taking all of that in, absorbing it, and bringing it to the brands that we work with to craft the next generation of brand experience. And to me, in my background in XR and creating XR experiences for brands, this is the way. We all know that one, right? It's how do you put the consumer at the core, solve business challenges, or reach new audiences? Innovation can look to solve those problems or create opportunities for brands to connect with consumers as the attention is shifting. So at Publicis Media, we see that as the evolution of brand experience, as consumer experience, And I think it all starts right here with the folks in this room.
That's great, Keith. And yeah, and if you know anything about immersive advertising, immersive marketing, then you already know that Digitas, where Keith came from before his new job, the monks have been pushing the edge of this medium for years already, using game engine tech like Unity, all kinds of different platforms, and always, again, putting customer at the center for your clients. And it's so amazing. So let's get into it. Catherine, we're going to start actually by talking about sort of current state. Last few years, what campaigns have looked like using current technology, and then we're going to go a little crazy and rove into the future after that. So Catherine, if you could, and we could cue up this first video, why don't you talk to us about this campaign that the monks did with Lady Gaga.
Yeah. So we've done a lot of major campaigns.
Cue video, please. Sorry.
A lot of major campaigns, and this is one of my favorites. It is the Lady Gaga for AT&T experience. Now, the campaign was called Zero Latency, and it was a one-night special performance where we brought together Lady Gaga for this message. For context, it's 2019, December, and they wanted us to launch this for early January in 2020, and really spread the message of kindness, love, inclusivity. And so this one night was really special. We also wanted to demonstrate the power of 5G for zero latency. So we created 5 succinct experiences. The one was the live performance and production. The second thing that we did was we created a 50-foot wall that was little monsters. You could dance with the little monsters. You could interact with these little monsters. And we created 25,000 of these assets with Unity. And some of them had Easter eggs. So they would do special performances or special things depending on which one you selected. You could then share them socially because they were captured live with cameras. Another room that we created was AT&T TV. So that was an entire separate room with some 50 LED screens showcasing the AT&T content for the AT&T as well as the other experiences around the room. Another experience as part of this was the claw. And that was a 10-foot claw with 10 cameras on it, so you could pose in front of it and share things socially. And finally, we also did the AR interactive wall. So the dance movement were interactive, but so too was this wall where you could leave messages of kindness, again, to people who were present, but also through the QR code, this could be experienced everywhere around the world. What I think was really positive about this was that, this is at the end of 20, you could see the claw there. People shared that on some 177, almost 200,000 impressions for AT&T specifically, but it was shared 300 million times just that one night. So it was a really positive campaign that spread messages of love, kindness and inclusivity. And I'd like to think that in the dark days of 2020, people look back on that with fondness for the power of this interactive and immersive technologies. One final thing I would say is that looking forward, sure, there would be, if I had to do this all over again, there would be a number of really cool things that we could do. And as we start to plan collectively for 2022, where we can have more immersive and interactive experiences, thinking about the connection between physical and digital experiences and connecting people not only physically in the room, but across these new platforms. That's the opportunity. I'm super excited about it.
Oh, that is just so awesome. And being a self-styled monster, I wish I'd been at that campaign. That is incredible, and it's wonderful, the charity aspect of that as well. Wow, okay, so this is the kind of stuff we're talking about. Again, it's not your parents' internet advertising, if you will. It's a new way of doing this. Keith, and I think you have a story like that from a completely different sector, right?
I have a story to tell, Tony.
Yeah, you might have more than one, I'm sure. So let's, making sure the video is getting spun up. Let's
absolutely, yeah. Picking up where Catherine left off, the merging of the physical and the digital. And I'm going to ask you something a little bit painful, but flashback to April 2020. And we were at the very beginning of the pandemic, but we realized, hey, this isn't going away anytime soon. And at the same time, Intel, who we work with, was realizing the same thing. And their retail business was at risk. And part of the issue was they relied on you going to Sam's Club, Walmart, Staples, and touching the laptops on the floor to learn about them. Hey, why is this laptop right for me? I can learn all about it in the software, but now that we didn't want to touch anything, their business was at total risk. And so they came to us and said, how can we bring people back and move units on the floor. And we said right away, we didn't even have a list of ideas. It was one thing. Augmented reality can solve your business problem for you. So what we did, and you're seeing here on the screen, was we really quickly pushed out this software update to all the Intel laptops globally that activated a QR code on the screen. You could scan. It read the registry of the machine on the floor, fed all that information into our content database, and then repositioned that in augmented reality for the laptop in front of you. So you knew the specs, you knew the reasons why. Okay, that was really important, and that's what they were missing. So we launched this, essentially globally with one click of a button, pushed out to all the stores worldwide, and instantly saw a turnaround in laptop sales, in unit sales. We saw 187% increase in engagement over the year before. So not only were they utilizing augmented reality to learn about that laptop that they were interested in, but they were more engaged and spent more time. And partially due to the pandemic and everybody needing laptops, but also I like to think because of augmented reality, sales were up 14% year over year. So the combining of the physical and the digital absolutely was a big part of rescuing the sales of Intel PCs.
Great.
And right there, we've seen the range of fun and heart all the way to utility and material need, and how much these kind of technologies can bring those to a new level. The other interesting thing about both your presentations was no headsets required. The augmentation was displays, it was phones, it was a whole bunch of other things that we tend to forget about when we're thinking about augmented reality technology and virtual reality. But they're all part of the spectrum, and they're all tools we can use for these things. And that's just so incredible and amazing. So that's where we were over the last couple of years. We were already seeing augmented reality and advertising happening. The pandemic just accelerated that, mostly out of need or out of lockdown and the need for connection, but just need either from the commercial or the personal side of this. Now that we're coming out of that, we assume a lot of these behaviors are actually sticky. They're not going to go away. We're not going to go back to pre-pandemic ways of doing things. I think QR codes are finally here to stay for real. How about that after over a decade? So that's amazing. So that's where we've come from. Now let's talk about where we're going. The next 3 to 5 years, as we start metaversing hard here as an industry, what does that mean for brand storytelling, brand experiences, world building? What are your clients going to care about? I mean, maybe you expected to hear stats coming into this. We may talk about some stats. You rifled off some, both of you. But that wasn't the main action. That pays the bills for everybody. But really, at the end of the day, it's the experiences that you're bringing to this, right? So where is that going? And we can talk about ROI too, if you guys are so inclined. Where is this going over the next 2 or 3 years? Keith, why don't you start us off?
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm excited because we're coming out of the proof of concept phase. Okay. We've proved it out, especially with regard to AR, mobile-based AR, that it works. Okay, we're seeing the metrics we like, we're seeing the engagement time we like, we're seeing people actually retweeting, sharing our branded augmented reality experiences. They're leaning in, they're converting. Now we move on to the next phase, and we can go so much deeper with immersive experiences than we're doing right now. And I think there's a use for the quick and snackable experience, but there's also going to be now this appetite for the more immersive, the more real-time experiences that unfold in real time. So one of the things I would love to see is putting yourself in the middle, inside the experience, okay? And we can do that with technology, with the technology you all build. And so imagine, instead of now binge watching Netflix shows, you're in the middle of your own adventure, okay? And this is what I love. And you can actually pick that. What's awesome about immersive tech, I can pick up that story anywhere I want and put it down. I'm back in, now I'm back out because I got to go make dinner. But now I'm jumping back in because I'm ready to be entertained again. So this idea of quest-based, gamified, immersive adventures is really exciting to me.
Catherine?
I'm thinking virtualization, because for me it's all about the merging of what you're already doing, your current activities, and how do we then onboard it. Because we are a massively well-known company that does a lot of real-time production and productions. We did the Post Malone and Pokemon. We did, and that was online. People tend to think about this as really living in the entertainment and advertising domain when it's so much bigger than that. And that's what I want people to really think about is virtualization as the next stage of the internet, taking everything we do, all of our habits, all of our activities, but putting them in a virtual context, but not literally. In other words, we have to reimagine the way we work, the way we play, the way we socialize across different platforms. And by the way, which platforms? So we have to really map out the entire landscape and then figure out where we need to do business, where our customers are, what they're doing in these spaces, and then how do we commercialize all that? Because there is a commercial end to this, and there is a rich opportunity there. So we need to figure out all of these things. And so that's what we're doing is we're mapping out what that world looks like. And we've written a number of reports making the metaverse. It's on my, you'll see like 12 different publications on my site, but on LinkedIn. But here's the thing, it's really the bigger picture about reimagining what we can do, and not in a dystopian way, in a really awesome way, super cool. So that's what I'm excited about.
And so where do we end up? Do we end up in the metaverse, in that world?
It's mixed. As I say, my mantra is physical and digital, and I've said that a million times, and I will continue to say that. It's about this mixed media experience, because people are opting in. But we already know that Gen Z, their first motivation is their phone. And if the great or they're online with Fortnite and Roblox, the great synchronicity has already started to take place. So how do we meet people where they are?
Yeah, and that's in the internet, not on the internet. Right? And
that's right. It's the embodied internet.
That's
Absolutely.
right. That's right. And this crowd knows as well as anyone that once you're inside the internet, how you behave and how you interact with that virtual space around you, it changes so much, right? And how much of reality you're letting in is going to be something we have to fine tune.
But then we also have to redefine reality. So when you say how much of the reality we're letting in, reality exists in all platforms. The reality is the experience and the emotion and the exchange. So I have had real exchanges and friendships and experiences. And sometimes I'm meeting some of you here for the first time at this conference, but we've known each other for 2 years. And so it's just actually just seeing the face. But apart from that, that relationship, those emotions, those experiences were all real.
And imagine, a further embodiment of that. That it's not just pixels on a Zoom. It's not just tweets. It goes way past that, right? And I mean, that's wild because I was just listening to the two of you go for a while, and what I never heard was reach, data, all these things you think about with advertising, and they're going to be there again. They need to be. One needs to make a return on investment in the projects we do here. But you're talking about a magical transformation into places where people who have things, products or services or ideas to sell, meet with the people who would be their audiences, their consumers, their customers, in a completely different way than we've ever seen before. What does that even mean for a platform? What are platforms in that? I'm just making this up as I go, by the way. We didn't script this. What are platforms in that future, in this next 3 to 5 year future?
Platforms, but where? I mean, that's where I start to think about is mapping what, each medium has its own special properties. And so the whole Marshall McLuhan thing always obtains. The medium is the message. The medium also helps inform us how to use that message, how to reach people effectively. Now we're on the board of the IAB, the Interactive Advertising Bureau. This week they issued a report on effective advertising with augmented reality. I wrote the portion on creative best practice. Keith did a massive lift on the end part, which was the future outlook, which I helped with. And so we have a really strong opinion about existing technologies. The question is, how do we craft the best practice for these future platforms and these future technologies? And that's what we're working on.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up our IAB board. So behind the scenes, those folks who standardize what banner ads are and do all those things, the IAB is, I'm on that board with these guys, very, very thoughtful about this. It's very early days. We don't understand what measurement means, engagement, all these things. We are seeing the power of it from a storytelling standpoint. We're seeing the transformative power. And yeah, it's a pleasure to work on this group with other folks, including Niantic, Snap, Google, Facebook, et cetera. So, Meta, sorry.
Well, and the question being is, what are we going to be measuring in this new immersive world, right? Previously, we were measuring, views of banner ads and attendance to events, and those still are going to hold strong for a little while. But now that we're weaving in immersive experiences to these brand, large-scale brand media plans, activations, the demand and the utility and essentially that value exchange is totally different. I would rather bring you into a brand experience by offering you a wearable to your avatar as opposed to serving you up a banner ad that drives you in, right? I think just that whole dynamic is going to change of what draws your attention from here to there, and how brands can do that by offering things we're going to want in these new immersive worlds. And that's where I'd love to experiment.
I'm so glad you brought that up.
Go ahead. No.
I can't help it. So one of the things you mentioned, the wearable and the experience, that's such a great idea, and the creative use of marketing and advertising. But I'd like to really caution, one word of caution to people is don't start off with the NFT. It's not about, when we talk about the digital and the physical, you don't start off the conversation with, hey, I want to sell an NFT. That's like the worst thing you want to hear. We can craft a way for you to commercialize this, no question. We can elevate it 5 different levels and then make it much bigger and much more rewarding ultimately. But you have to start with a knowledge of the platform, the communities that exist there, what makes them tick, and aligning yourself effectively with their values. If you miss out on that, then you're missing out a huge opportunity, because that's where the competition for your NFTs and for your virtual goods really starts to heat up, because they love you, they're into you, they're behind you, and they'll spend their money on you.
Well,
and NFTs are trendy. They are educating folks on a certain aspect of virtual economies, basically, in a way that hasn't been done before, that makes it potentially more easily monetizable for creators, et cetera. And the world is going more virtual in terms of these virtual goods for brands. Read Robert Tursek's book, Vaporize. It's absolutely genius. This is a great, everything's becoming less physical and more digital in our lives. We know that. So those threads, I think, are connected. But I think you're right about the cautionary tale as well. That don't mistake the NFT craze right now, which is indicative of a big part of the future, for where it's going to go in a few years.
See, I'd look to apply the technology with with truths we already know. Okay, and what we know, and especially largely in this world, we're trying to reach Gen Z, young millennials, okay? These are digital natives. They grew up in this world. They're aging out of the Minecrafts and the Roblox and aging into now these emerging immersive experiences, metaverse experiences. But here's what we know they want, okay? They want access. They want access to your brand. If they already have brand love, or we're building brand love, we can give them access. And NFTs are the way, to me, for brands to provide access and validate that access. Okay, so if I can put an NFT in your wallet that you want, okay, that's really important, that you want. Now that's your digital key for access. Now that gets you into our metaverse experience. It might get you into a party we're throwing in real life. It might give you access to the wearables that we want to put in your wallet that you can put on your avatar and roam the virtual worlds. That access is going to stay to the people who you've built a relationship with, right? That's who you want to drop these NFTs into their wallet. And to me, that can be art, that can be access, that can be avatars, that can be wearables. At the end of the day, what you want to do is build up this brand community that loves you, that supports you, that amplifies your message, and brings in the next wave of folks.
Yeah.
We have 1 minute. Okay, get in there, Catherine.
I would just add utility to that. And I would also say that, so access and utility. So it's not just opening the doors, but how can this be useful to you? Some people liken these things to membership clubs. And I would say yes and no. And the yes is yes because you're tapping into these people who have a rich passion for your brand. And by the way, it's not just art. It can be video clips. It can be moments in sports history. It can be an iconic moment in an Olympic moment. It can be a lot of things. So we can craft all sorts of stuff around your IP. But here's the thing. The utility value of that in the real world and linking the physical and digital takes it to the next level. If there is no need for an NFT, don't do it. So there really has to be a fine line. I mean, the Avon ladies, Avon products, do we really need to have an NFT for that? Is that the demographic? Is that what you're doing? Because maybe just a plastic card would suffice. Right. So think smart. Here
we go. So we have 39 seconds. It's 2030. We look back and we have fully metaversed. All right, by then. What's happening? You each have 15 seconds. Let's go.
I'm here in a holograph form talking to you from, poolside in Mexico. And I'm here as an avatar, and we're like talking, and you feel very realistic. Some of you in the audience are holograms too. And maybe we're in this platform, but maybe you're in one of 20 other platforms, and it's dope.
What about you, Keith? 10 seconds.
There's zero physical distance between me and anything I want to do. It's all going to be in front of me or where I want to be at that moment. And I can show up as any digital identity I want to show up as. I can flip my avatar in an instant and be somebody completely different.
That is fantastic.
Sure.
I'm sorry, we are out of time. Can I have a hand for these two amazing thinkers and innovators? This was a great time. Thank you so much. Thank you.